this transformative episode of She Decides, Staci Swiderski sits down with Alina Wilson, founder of Bridgeport Laser Wellness Center, grandmother, entrepreneur, author of Thoughtful Aging, employee development coach, and board member of Gather, Make Shelter. Alina opens up about the pivotal moments that reshaped her life, building a wellness center from the ground up, navigating profound personal change, and choosing to stand in her power when life tried to knock her down. She shares how intuition, resilience, community, and deep self-honesty guided her through reinvention and toward a life aligned with who she truly is. Together, they explore what it means for women to stop minimizing themselves, reclaim their identity beyond roles, and embrace aging as a calling back to self. Alina dives into her work with women in transition, the truth about hormone health, why mentorship matters, and how beauty becomes a language of compassion when we learn to see one another and ourselves clearly. This conversation is warm, wise, deeply human, and filled with sparks, moments of awareness, vulnerability, laughter, and the shared desire for women to rise together. Because when she decides, everything changes. You know who made it.
Welcome, everybody, to She Decides. I am your host, Staci Swiderski, and I am thrilled to introduce our guest today, Alina Wilson. She is an amazing woman who supports women empowerment. She is the founder of Bridgeport Laser Wellness Center and so much more. We're really excited to have you today, and I just can't wait to learn more about you as well as our guest, because I know you're just going to be so much wisdom to share with our listeners. So welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So let's get started and jump right into it. I'm just at awe of all of your accomplishments. Just that that I know, and I'm sure there's a lot more that you're going to share with us today. So really looking forward to it. So within your, you founded, we'll go way back to 2007, sure, right? When you first founded your company, Bridgeport Laser and Wellness Center. Can you share a little bit more about your company with us and really what inspired you to open that and found it?
Sure. I was married at the time, and I was married to a family practice doctor, and he just came home one day and said, I want to do something different. And he explained his vision to me, and I said, well, okay, I can make that happen. And that's where it started, was way back, just this idea. I've always been a creator, an entrepreneur. Excuse me. I've always been a creator and an entrepreneur, and I just have never been intimidated by challenge. And so this younger version of me, I was 35 when I started this business with him. This younger version of me saw no limits, and I really didn't understand the magnitude of what it was that I was doing. And so there were a lot of learning lessons and road bumps along the way.
But that's okay. You jumped in, right? You jumped in.
Yeah. And here I am 18 years later. He and I are not together anymore. Back in 2021, he just kind of packed a bag and got on an airplane and flew away. And so I had to make the decision at that time. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to shut it down?
Was he still actively involved?
No.
With the center?
No, he went as far away from Oregon as he possibly could have. He flew to Georgia.
Oh, so, okay.
So I replaced him as medical director and just have kept it going since then.
That
And
is
again,
awesome.
Even the version of me that did that 5 years ago, I look back at that girl and I think, what the heck were you doing? Like, there are all these things that we don't know, but for some reason you just keep moving forward, when you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you want to build and create.
Yes. And the fact that you didn't fold, you're like, all right, well, this is happening. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to replace them with a medical director that is, it's still fulfilling your desire to be an entrepreneur and keep your company. And that is amazing. I love that.
Thanks. There was a tiny part of me, if I'm being completely transparent, that watched him fly away and took it as a challenge, because I know that he did
Oh,
that. He set me up to fail. I know that he left because he thought I couldn't do it. And there's this tiny part of me that just stood up and said, watch this. Here we
I love
go.
that. Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
a wild ride, but let's go.
But I can do
So,
this. I can do this. Yeah. That's,
yeah,
I mean, kudos to you. Because a lot of
thank
people
you.
would, they would panic and
Hmm.
they may close down. They may think, or even for a while or temporary or just fold, and the fact that you just kept going and here you are today. I mean, what a success story.
Thanks. I had really good friends, and that really speaks to the value of connection and friendship and support. And my heart goes out to those women in circumstances where they don't feel like they can talk to anyone, or they've been conditioned or indoctrinated through religion to not share their story and to not seek support. And as women, we have such a responsibility to reach into each other's lives and pull each other through those times, because
So
a lot of
important.
times there's just no language for that. It's all about intuition and feeling and sensing. And when you see another woman hurting, just because they can't share their story doesn't mean they don't need to share their story.
Well, like you
And it
said,
just,
intuition and really
yeah.
knowing when you just to be there and to just
Hmm.
offer that support. And sometimes just being present makes all the difference.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
had a
love
friend
that.
do that for me. And that's where, when I really started to take a step back, was when I had a friend draw my story out of me after 19 years of being married to this person. Um, she said, tell me about yourself. You never talk about yourself. And here I am over here thinking, well, I talk about myself all the time. Look at what I do for a living. But I really
But at the
didn't. And
core,
so
right.
she goes, take me back to what was high school like for you? Take me back to what were you doing during this period of time? And the words that were coming out of my mouth and the story that I was telling, it was almost like an out of body experience, because I never imagined that I would put up with or endure any of the things that I found
Mm,
myself saying to her. And it was almost like it was just this moment of realization for me, where I go, whose life am I living? Because the life in my head, which is all nice and tidy and wrapped up with a little bow, picture perfect marriage,
yeah.
business, doctor, husband, was not at all the life that I was sharing with her in that moment. And
Wow.
so
Wow.
I really had to make a decision. Oh, are we going to face reality here and get back in alignment? Or are we going to keep the little package all nice and neat and not let anybody else in?
Well, I think the fact that for sure you let yourself become vulnerable, right? And then very
Mhm.
transparent with your thoughts and your feelings and really deep down find out who you truly are and how you want to live your life. And I think that's so important. We have one life to live, right? And to be
Right.
true to ourselves is so, so important. And the fact that you realize that, after all of this, happened, I mean, do you feel like a sense of like 1,000 pounds off your shoulders? Like, how do you feel now?
Oh, I feel so free. It's just so
Uh,
liberating. And
I
it's not
bet.
that I don't have stress, and it's
Oh,
not that
yeah.
there isn't chaos, but peace is not the absence of chaos. It's staying present and grounded in the midst of chaos. And that's where you find that consistent, peaceful state of being, which is I think that we're all striving for, is just that centered, grounded presence.
I agree. I agree. And, just being that sense of like being resilient and knowing it's okay
Hmm.
that you're going to go through all these feelings and these hardships and it's tough, but being resilient, I think that's something that us women are so good at. I think we're so good
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
And in that,
Especially
we
when
also tend to minimize too. And I don't know if you
we
you
sure
do
do.
this, But yeah, that's like one of my magic skills or superpowers is making things not a big deal, which is not healthy at all. So
It's not healthy. I'm very guilty of
yeah,
that. Yeah. I try to just think, oh, that's no big deal. And that's, you get through it and you're doing a million things at once, or you're really not being honest about your feelings or about something that really may be catastrophic, happened in your life, but you minimize it. And I don't know, if we do that
yeah,
just to keep ourselves strong and moving forward, or we want others around us to think we got this. We're good, we're good. But deep down, it's heavy. It's heavy.
it is. It's protecting that image, I think,
Um,
but it keeps us from really being able to fully self-actualize and accept ourselves for who we are.
yeah, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. The image. I think we're so fearful, right, of people really knowing like who we are deep down, as far as like, oh, like life is perfect. But I think the sooner
Mhm.
that we can be true to ourselves and others, that image kind of is just like, this is who I am, right? You like it or not, like it, love it, hate it, whatever, but this is who I am. And deep down at the core, you're a good person, right? And people value that. And it's so, like you said, it's so freeing.
Yeah. So you had asked me what I do here at the clinic. We do skincare procedures. We do things like, most people would think of like Botox or dermal filler, but we also do medical things like hormone replacement and
Hmm.
weight loss and acne treatments. And the women coming into, and men, but mostly women coming into the clinic here are coming in because they've reached a point in their lives where they feel that little bit of a disconnect. And I hear a lot of times, well, I just want to look as young as I feel, or this thing has always bothered me. I'm ready to do something about it. And those are we get women a lot of times in this industry in those transitional periods where we're able to meet them where they are and kind of shine a light on that path toward realignment. And that's really what I love the most about what we do here.
Yeah, for sure. And when they are doing it for themselves, right? I'm sure it's so nice to be able to. It's just rewarding to make them realize that like you can feel better about
Hmm.
yourself, right? You're making this decision and you're coming forth and you're gonna whatever it may be, at your clinic, and it just they're doing it for themselves. And I think that's so important for sure.
Yeah, I think at some age, and it's usually around 40 to 60, you begin to do things from a place of want rather than a place of need. When you're
Mm,
younger, the 20s and 30s, they're coming in and doing things because they feel like they need to. Um, and then there's this period in your 40s where you start to feel a little bit less relevant. Maybe you don't get as many looks as you used to, and it catches your
right.
attention, but you quickly transition into a space of, oh, but that's okay because I'm okay. And then
Right.
you return to self, and then you do these things because you want to,
Because you
not
want
because you need
to.
to.
Right. And as we get older, like our confidence, I feel like has we're much more confident now as we age. At least I know I am. And
Mhm.
and I'm sure you see that all the time. It's just like I'm doing it now because it's for me, because I want to, not because I want to impress anybody, but because I want to. And I think, like you said, it's kind of shifts, when you get into your 40s and 50s. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there was a
amazing.
World Happiness Report in 2024, and one of the things they realized in their survey was that women over 60, American women over 60, are the happiest people in the world, which I thought was fascinating because we have this whole society of anti-aging that tells us that aging is horrible and awful
It's
and we should
depressing.
fight
And yeah,
aging. And you're just going to, get old and die. And, everything from our doctors telling us we don't have hormone options,
right.
to our spouses leaving us for younger women, to ageism at work. There are a lot of things in our society and our culture that reinforce this narrative that we lose relevance, but that's not true unless you
Right.
embrace that idea and you believe that, then that will be true for you. But we have so many options now, more than we've ever had at any point in time in history, I think.
Well, I was going to also mention the fact that, you had founded the Bridgeport Laser and Wellness Center back in 2007 when back then I don't think those procedures were they as near as heard of or done or common as what I
Mm-mm.
mean today, right? So I mean you really
No.
kind of were a pioneer, right? Back then and
Back then, we had plastic surgeons shouting the narrative that only plastic surgeons should inject Botox because it's, such a specialized procedure. And now, I don't know what state you live in, but in Oregon, you can be an esthetician and inject Botox. Not that you would want, please
right,
don't do
right,
that, but
right,
there's just so much latitude now, but we had to blaze that trail as early adopters in this industry and really educate people on the false narratives that we are surrounded by, not just in the aesthetics and beauty industry, but within aging itself.
right,
I
right.
was 35 when I opened the business. I was also 35 when I started realizing that there was something wrong with me. Like there's things are not clicking here. I need help. I went to a doctor who told me to stop spending so much time on the internet. And he was a top endocrinologist in the Portland area. And I left and I just thought, well, I guess I'm on my own. Well, I found out later that physicians in medical school get at most 3 hours of training on women's hormones, on female hormones. That's all. That's all they get. So
Yeah.
if we want
It's pretty
to,
limited. It ain't
if we want
much.
to take care of ourselves, we have to self-educate. But like you were just saying, now that landscape has shifted too. And we have so many more doctors now who are willing to stop and listen and say,
Right.
okay, well, we have options. I've been on bioidentical hormone replacement since I was 40. And I tell you, and now I'm 53, I tell you, I will not go without it because within 72 hours of my first, we do bioidentical hormone pellets. Um, Within 72 hours of my first treatment, I woke up and I felt like a new person.
Wow.
And it wasn't that anything in my world or life had changed. It was me getting better and getting
Right. I
back in alignment.
Yeah, I think advocating for ourselves is the utmost importance. Women,
Mhm.
advocating for ourselves, so important. So share more about that. Like, are there side effects or what are the benefits and what all, like you said, you saw those, you saw it immediately, you felt better.
Mhm.
Can you share more about that with us? That's intriguing.
Sure. Yeah, this is such a big topic, but it's so
Yeah.
important to bring awareness to this because many women have been told by their doctors that hormones cause cancer,
Mm-hmm.
that they're not safe. Most women that I've talked to can't even get their doctors to run a full hormone lab panel, including testosterone. And I think it's because they they wouldn't, these providers, a lot of them, they don't know what to do with these lab results if they come back normal,
Oh,
not normal, this, and lab results are based on, this guide that they go by is based on someone as young as 18 and someone as old as 80. So if you fall within normal range on anything, it just means you're simply alive and breathing,
sure.
right?
Right.
But we, when it comes to hormones, we don't treat for what's normal. We treat for what's optimal. And so for me, personally, uh, we'll just take testosterone. A normal testosterone, what's considered normal for women, is 40. Mine, when I had my labs done prior to hormones, was 14. And
Mm.
here's what difference that was making in my life. I had brain fog. I wasn't sleeping well. I had body aches and pains. Just, I was 40 years old and my body just hurt. I didn't have the energy. So I was fatigued all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got my hormones balanced, it was a new world for me because I just felt this sense of literally like a key going into a lock and the lock turning
Wow.
and unlocking parts of me that I had been trying to get in touch with for a long time through supplements, through self-education. And I I should be having hot flashes. I'm 53. I should be miserable, but
But
I'm
you're not.
not.
But you're not. Right.
But I'm not.
Oh,
And it's a good conversation to have with your doctor. If your doctor won't answer your questions, find another doctor.
find another
They're out
doctor.
there.
Again, advocate for
Find another
yourself.
doctor. Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's incredible. Um, so what do you feel that what are some of the most like common challenges that women face like to embrace like being authentic? And how can they begin to overcome them?
One of the questions that I ask readers in my book is if I asked you to name all of the things that you loved, how long would it take you to name yourself? We
Oh,
as women have a hard time seeing beyond the surface, the reflection that we see in the mirror. And so and I've been through this discovery process myself, so I know firsthand how painful this can be when you stand in front of the mirror and you just make eye contact with yourself. It can be terrifying for someone who's never seen themselves, truly seen themselves before.
mm,
And so there is a process, a way to move your perspective beyond the surface and return inward. And the Greek root of the word beauty is actually kalon or kaline, and that stands for calling. And I really believe that beauty is calling us back to ourselves. We all have this ability to bring the uniqueness and the spark that is who we are to the world around us, but we've been conditioned to suppress it
and pretty
and
much
to
ignore
be
that. Yeah.
ignore it, to be afraid of it. Um, all, not on purpose, but all for the sake of, we take care of our families, we take care of our kids, our partners, or spouses. We go to work, we take care of things at work. We get the oil change in the car, we buy the groceries. So there are all of these things that are distracting us. And in some cases, they're a welcome distraction when you don't have the courage to really see beyond the surface.
Wow, that's powerful. That's really powerful. And definitely I see it all the time with, the women around me that I know. They're always putting themselves in last place, right? Everybody
Hmm.
comes before them and they're caretakers and constantly, they're the last ones to just do anything for themselves. So it's just like burnout, right? It's just burnout. And then it's mental fatigue and you just kind of go downhill. So I think that's really powerful what you shared for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know you've mentored also dozens of women in business.
Hmm.
What's one piece of advice that you would always come back to when guiding other female entrepreneurs?
Follow your intuition.
Mm,
Don't give away your confidence for the sake of external validation. So a lot of times, and I've been in this situation too, where I I know the right thing to do, or I know what I want to do, but I feel sometimes like, well, I can't do it without support. So I just kind of put it on pause or just kind of take a back seat, when really I have every ability to do the thing that I want to do, or make the thing happen, or achieve the dream, whatever the case may be, if I were to get grounded and present and really decide for myself that that's what I wanted to do.
right. And just take action because
Hmm.
just any progress is better than no progress for sure.
Exactly. And again, if you're unsure, then grab a girlfriend who knows you
Right.
and let her tell you what she sees. And don't be afraid to listen. Listen with an open heart, because that's what our girlfriends are for.
Yeah, so important. And to surround yourself, by that support system or person or whoever it is that can really,
Yeah.
be true, and be true to yourself. And really, like you said, listen with an open heart, be open-minded. And
Mhm.
usually when we listen, it I feel like our actions then, just like, aha, you get those aha moments and you're like, all right, that's going to get me to the next step. So yeah, that's so important. So
Mhm.
important. Um, so moving on, as an employee development coach, what do you believe is the key to unlocking a woman's potential in the workplace?
Helping her gain a deeper understanding of her own ability.
Mm,
First of all, making sure that you've got the right people in the right positions doing the right
so
jobs.
important.
So
Yes.
you're not setting them up for failure. But in that, as an employee development coach or as an employer, you just take a soft approach and just watch. And we, as employers and coaches, have a responsibility to learn their language. It is not their responsibility to learn our language. And so I am constantly listening to podcasts and learning from other women. I am constantly thinking about how, different ways to say things in ways that other people will understand, because there's how I hear things and say things, but that's not always going to be received by others, or even sometimes approachable by others because they just don't get it.
Absolutely. I feel like it's our responsibility as employers, leaders to really understand the people that we are leading and employing, and not, people need to be managed at really at on their level, whatever it may be, right? Not everybody's the same. You can't manage everybody the same way. Some people may need
Exactly.
more hand holding, or you have to maybe talk a little softer, to
Mhm.
some than others. And you have others who are just like, I'm good. Like, you can, they're tough, they have a toughness about them. And so they need to be managed a little bit differently. So I think as leaders, the sooner that we are aware of this, the
Mhm.
better we can set up our teams and the people around us for success. And like you said, you nailed it, is ensuring that they're in the right roles, right? That they're really going to just prosper in that role, and supporting them. I think it's
I think
so
everybody
dynamic.
wants to do, yeah, I think they all want to do, everybody wants to do a good job, whether it's
Hmm.
you, Stacy, or me, Alina, or Susan, or Joan, or whoever it is. We show up on this planet and here we are, and we want to do a good job. Um, but that requires being able to be transparent and vulnerable to a certain extent, in
Yes.
knowing for ourselves what our own learning style is. And so I'll challenge my employees in that as well, and we'll talk about it, because I want them to be aware how they're presenting themselves and how they're speaking, and invite them to step forward into a new space with me.
I love that. Yeah. And just being very honest, like
Hmm.
you had shared, transparent honesty, it goes a long way. Right. And just being compassionate. Right. And you can be compassionate as a leader and still have high standards. Right. And
Yeah.
it's so important. Like you said, everybody wants to do a good job. So, and,
Yeah.
and as leaders, as we recognize that, it's just, again, ensuring that they are in the right roles, and that we are really listening to them so we can set them up for the best success. So tell us more about your book, Thoughtful Aging. What inspired that? And what message from that book do you really hope that your readers can take away from it?
I am so passionate about this subject of helping women see their true beauty. And this book, we talked about the business, starting in 2007, 2008 was about when I realized I had all these beautiful women coming into the clinic. And for some reason, I could see their beauty, but they couldn't see their own beauty. And then I realized at the same time, they could see my beauty, but I wasn't seeing my own beauty. And so this gap became evident to me, and it made me wonder. I really started thinking about why and how and where did this come from? And are we born this way, or is this societal conditioning? How does this happen? And how do we fix it? Um, and so it just kind of bounced around in my head for a while. The book ended up really bringing together all these thoughts that I have, and these things that I've learned through thousands of conversations with women over 18 years surrounding aging, and that there is a better way to do it. So the book is called Thoughtful Aging, and it's about restoring honor to the aging process. And goes through all different kinds of facets of beauty, things to consider, how we age, why we age, how to age well. But in that, it's really a return to self. It's a kind of a guide or a roadmap back to self.
It's like an inner
So,
beauty even. Yeah.
because in creating thoughtful aging, I thought, well, this has to be something that somebody can actually achieve. And so there are 5 principles that are that create thoughtful aging. It's cultivating a growth mindset, embracing curiosity, staying present and grounded, practicing self-acceptance and compassion, and then
It's
being
a big
proactive
one.
and responsible. Yeah.
Mm.
And in the book, there are little guides, worksheets, and things for those who choose to do that, that can really help them create a roadmap for their own aging process that returns them to this really beautiful state of being.
Wow, it sounds fabulous. And I love the fact that you shared when you were first sharing about your book that you met so many women that they didn't feel beautiful, but you saw that beauty in
Mm,
them, and then retro back to you felt the same way about yourself.
mhm,
And the fact that you knew that there was this sense of just support, and how us as women should really come together and support one another rather than being constantly competitive. And there's really should be no room for that, right? We should be there and support one another, because we all have our scary times and our troubles, and it's just to have somebody, another female, say, listen, I understand it and I get you, and I'm here for you. That's everything. So
yeah, that word that you just use, comparison, competitive,
yeah, the
all of the
competitive,
things
yeah.
that all of the things that fall under that umbrella are the things that create division between us,
Hmm.
because we're so conditioned to judge each other for what we say, how we look, what we're wearing. But in my experience, and in my very, very strong opinion, is that right and wrong has no place in the conversation when it comes to beauty. Um,
Mm.
and if we could
So
just,
true.
as women, if we could just stop seeing things as right or wrong when it comes to personal expression or self-expression and beauty, we could actually create a language that doesn't exist yet, that is supportive, compassionate, kind, loving, accepting, and begin to really validate each other from a very centered place that says, no, I love you just because you're alive and breathing. And I don't care if your hair is purple. I don't care
Right.
how many tattoos you have. Here you are right in front of me, and you're alive and breathing. And girl, we got this.
Right,
Let's go.
right. Yes, there's something to be said about acceptance, right? And
Mhm.
for sure, I love that. Because I think a lot of women come from such an insecure place, right? So when they feel insecure, I think they're even quicker at that point to judge others, right? Because they're not in the right space to be able to treat others with kindness, because they're not treating themselves with that same sense of kindness, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, opening your arms, and just, like you said, it doesn't matter who you are, you have purple hair, tattoos, whatever it is, like, we got this. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Dr. Kurt Thompson, there's a quote by him that I really, really love. He's an OB doctor, but he's also an author and just a very well-known speaker. He says, we are all born into this world looking for someone looking for us. and we remain in that mode of searching for the rest of our lives.
That's
If you just sit
powerful.
with that for a minute
Mhm.
and you think about that for a minute, you realize what an opportunity we have to offer each other the ability to be seen. And just in those moments, creating those moments of connection and joy with another person can be life-changing, not just for them, but for you.
Oh, for sure. And there's something to be said about just being kind. Kindness
Mhm.
is, and it doesn't take effort. It doesn't, just being kind and aware of that. And it's something that we can do every single day, no matter where we're at, right? We can just always,
Yeah,
kindness is it's everything. Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk more about you being a grandmother. I love
Sure.
it. You certainly do not look old enough to be a grandmother.
Thank
uh,
you.
but how has becoming a grandmother really shaped your perspective, even on leadership and the legacy and female empowerment?
Wow. Well, I see my granddaughters. So I have two granddaughters and a grandson. I see my granddaughters regularly. They live in my neighborhood, and so they're in and out of my house
Oh,
all the
how
time. My
fun.
grandson lives in Texas, and so I
Oh,
don't see him as often. But as I watch these young girls growing up,
how old are they?
13 and 9,
Okay.
as I watch them growing up, I realize my mom was great. And I love my mom to death, but I realized all of the things that I didn't get from her combined with all of the things that I didn't know as a parent. And I kind of am able to put those all in a big pot and stir them up and shake it out. And now I have this opportunity with my granddaughters. How do I fill this gap for them so they can be happy women, so they can not live under the weight of responsibility of other person's judgment? How do I teach them to self-express gracefully, and become actively pursuing their own dreams, become people who actively pursue their own dreams, right? Without
Yeah.
fear or hesitation. That's the joy of being a grandparent, is you kind of get to do it again and again because they're not
Yeah.
yours.
And you feel like you can do it on such a, like you said, a deeper level, because now you have this world experience and so much more knowledge
Mhm.
that you can now pass that on to them and hope to really pave the way for them to where, you're leaving this legacy behind where they're just going to be even smarter and better and just, like a excelled version of ourselves, right? That we can
Yeah.
now say, we want you to just take this knowledge and this love and caring and just go conquer the world.
Yeah, I think that's the goal with any kind of parenting. You want them to do it better than you did it,
Yes.
right? And
Right, right.
that's what we're teaching and training them to do, is to do it better than we did it. We all have a history and a background that comes from familial expectations and things that we have to sit through on our own. It takes a long time to do that sometimes. But I am so proud of all of my children because they're doing it so much better with respect to parenting than what I feel like I did. And it's just a joy to watch that and a privilege to be a part of that as a grandparent.
Yeah, but I bet too, though, if they were to maybe be interviewed about you, they would probably say, my mom was amazing. She's a rock star. And I wish I could be the mom
They
that
would.
she, yeah, yeah. So
They
again, I
would.
think we're a little
Yeah.
harder on ourselves and then, yeah. So yeah, it's always something,
Yeah.
I'm sure yeah, they would be extremely, um, complimentary towards you. So yeah, that's,
Yeah, and they have been, and that's it's such a my at one point in their teen years when things got a little crazy. Every parent with a teenager is going to know what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
They go a little uh, mental from like age 12 to 18.
They know it
Um,
all.
and my goal during those years was just to simply keep the communication lines open. And I
Right.
decided I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm going to just keep the communication lines open because I want them always to feel safe enough to come back to
And they're
me.
able to come back. Yes.
there were so many times, and you do this as a leader too, where somebody comes into your office and they're
Mm-hmm.
blah, 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 and drama and blah, 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 blah. You got to just kind of sit with it for a minute, kind of like you do with teenagers, and just go, okay, well, tell me more about that. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Put your
And
listening
keep
ears
that
on. Yep.
yeah, you don't freak out, and otherwise they're not going to come back to you. So it's the
Right.
same with employees as it is with teenagers. Oof,
Spot
yeah,
on. That's so, so
which
true. Yeah.
again brings up the need for self-care because we can't give more to others than we've given ourselves, truly.
So true, so true. But definitely always creating the way for like a safe place, right? Where, like you said, the doors
Hmm.
are always open. That communication piece is always there. And
Yeah.
yeah, a safe space is so important. So share more with us about your work with the Gather, Make Shelter. How's that shaped, the message for women? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, Gather Make Shelter is a nonprofit organization that works in the heart of downtown Portland to help bridge the gap between poverty and purpose for people experiencing houselessness. Um, I started with them when I met the founder 8 years ago. She thought she was only going to do this project for a year. And here we are 8 years later. She just got back from New York because there are people all across the country who see what we're doing and they want to know how are we doing it. And so I really leaned into volunteering with them because I admired her passion for her project. I don't know a whole lot about the art world, but what we
Hmm.
do is we take these people experiencing houselessness, we teach them to express themselves through different art forms. So it could be drawing, it started out with clay pottery, and now it is printmaking. It's just
Wow.
we've become so many different things, murals and things all over town now, and in other towns. But her passion as a woman for her this project, I was so attracted to that because don't we want to support women on a mission? Just I think as women, we're attracted to the people who are doing things.
Right. Yeah. So inspiring for sure.
Yeah. And so I've been able to learn and grow with her throughout the last 8 years. And it's been such a privilege because it has made me a better leader. There are situations that make me uncomfortable, and I've learned to just lean into those. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
you just lean into that
Can you
discomfort because it's
share?
there to
Can you
tell you
share some more
something.
about that? Like anything that may have made you feel uncomfortable? Are you open to sharing?
Yeah. Yeah. There are, so we work with marginalized communities. And
Hmm.
so people who maybe are having somewhat of an identity crisis or um, are in a situation where they want to use different pronouns, then, that I'm 53 years old. That is not part of my world.
Right. You're like, oh,
Um,
I have to
uh,
research that one.
but in that context, there's this little part of me that wants to keep everything structured and normal, and everybody play by these rules because these are my rules and this is what I'm comfortable with, and I don't want to use pronouns.
Right.
Um, and so I've learned that when we have board meetings, and I'm the board chair, when we have board meetings, everybody goes around and says their pronouns. I personally just don't because that's
Hmm.
not how I want to identify myself, but I respect everybody else who
Right.
does.
Right.
And so just little things like that, where I was raised in a very conservative Christian household. Um, and with that came just this inherent judgment of others because that's what that
Right.
indoctrination was all about. So this being in these circumstances with marginalized communities has allowed me to really unpack that in a way through experience to retrain myself and retrain my thought processes to really accept everyone for who they are,
Right. Be a little more
um,
open-minded on that. Yeah.
regardless of their circumstance,
Right.
and create that language that allows me to still invite them into a safe space.
So is there anything that you don't do? I mean, you are, I think you've conquered the world. Wow.
I feel a lot of times like I wake up in the morning and I think I'm running out of time. I'm 53. I only have, however many years left. I've only got 40 more years. I'm running out of time.
I think the same thing too. I'm thinking, wow, half of my life is over. I only have about 35% left. And like, it's so like
Yeah.
you start to think, and then you're
Yeah.
like, but it makes you also realize that, wow, life goes by so quickly and there's just no room for unhappiness, right? Yes, we go through our, our moods every now and then, but as long as we
Sure.
can snap out of it. And I really think that, like I said, being a kind person, and it just makes you feel better about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And makes your everyday living just that much more purposeful, right? So what
Yeah.
does your day-to-day look like? So tell us more about that. Like, who are, like, do you have, I know you said you surround yourself around, supportive women and people in your life, because you are very busy. How do
Mhm.
you do it all in a day? And so tell us more. What do you like? What time do you wake up in the morning, and what is your routine, and how do you accomplish all that you do?
I wake up usually around 4:30 or 5 in the morning.
Of course you do.
Okay, but
I
I
wouldn't
don't get
expect
up.
anything less.
Nothing good happens at that hour. So I wake up early, but then I usually start my day with a podcast. And I'll lay in bed for an hour listening, find a podcast that I can learn from, something that whatever I'm interested in. Or the podcast finds me, as happens
Yep.
sometimes. And I just lay there for an hour and just kind of, do listen and learn and breathe and just kind of get ready for the day. And then I set intentions for the day. Like, what do I want for this day to be? Like, do I want to be open? Do I want to be productive? Do I want to flow? Am I going to fight? Like, I really set my intentions for the day based on what my meeting schedule is, or how many employees call out sick, or,
As entrepreneurs,
you
we
know,
have to plan for that stuff,
there's that.
right?
Yeah. So my days rarely ever go as planned, but I do always try to be productive, get things done, either get outside, sit in the sun. Sometimes I'm sitting in the sun for just 5 minutes, or I do that in the morning when I'm having coffee or tea. I'll
Mhm.
just go put my face in the sun. Um, there are real scientific benefits to doing that,
Oh,
biology
I
wise.
wholeheartedly believe that.
So,
Yes.
and I'm in Oregon, and we only get about 3 months of sun anyway, so I take
Yeah,
what I can
right. You're
get.
like, when it's shining,
So that
I'm
would
stepping outside.
exactly. And then I show up at the office. Sometimes I work a half day, sometimes I work a whole day. I almost always have something on my calendar with a friend. Not every day or every week, but I have to put things on my calendar to look forward to. Like, I'm going to meet next week with one of my best friends who's very reflective, who can tell me, girl, go this way, or I see you going that way, or I've got some ideas. I want to bounce them off her. She's an
Yeah,
entrepreneur as well. And so she knows things I don't know. I've learned so much from her.
right,
So I'll do that. I usually have a weekend trip or something within months, a couple of times a year. So I have something to look forward to. And I know that about myself.
right.
I need to have things to look forward to. Otherwise, I just get so lost in the tasks of being an entrepreneur.
You let the
So
days take over your
yes.
world rather than, yeah. And so when we can control
Yeah.
those, and we know what brings us to our highest place, and how we can, reflect and just be our best selves. And so I think definitely, like you said, putting those in the calendar, making sure they happen, and
Yeah.
yeah, being very, yeah, self-sufficient in terms of lining up our life and our day and everything to make sure that we can always be our best self. So I think that's so important. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't happen by accident. You don't end
No.
up an active 80-year-old enjoying life. You don't end up there by accident. It's all the little choices that you make along the way that get you to that place. So I think for women, it's a really good time for us to just pause and reflect and just say, okay, here's where I've been, here's where I am, but don't stop there. Where do I want to be? Because you can't know where you're
No.
going
Right.
if you don't stop and think, okay, I want that. I want that. Like
Right,
me, I
right.
want to be, I want to be mobile. I want to be able to go and help women all around the world. So what does this next chapter look like for me? I want to go do retreats, um, host retreats in Costa Rica and Mexico and Sedona, Arizona. Like I want to be able to go and just have this one-on-one time that I have under this clinic umbrella with women who don't have the opportunity to come into places like mine, because there's still
Mm.
so much that they can learn about themselves. And it's such a privilege for me to hold those stories with them and to help them in that way.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't wake up being 80 and then all of a sudden this stuff just happens. You have got to work every
Yeah.
day to make sure that this happens. And that's a
Yeah.
lifestyle. And it is definitely planning accordingly and living a healthy, like I said, a lifestyle to where you want to be healthy. You have to take care of your health, both physically and your mind. And be purposeful. I think being purposeful is everything.
I
And
love that word. You nailed it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Intentional, purposeful.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, definitely. And then you can really just conquer all those goals and your dreams and then
Yeah.
at the end of our lives we can say, wow, I accomplished everything I really set out to do. And but it wasn't handed to us. We didn't just close our eyes and manifest it and there it is. You have to be intentional about each day to make those goals come true. So
The Disney princess inside of me wants me to be able to just close
oh
my eyes and
yeah,
wake up
just
and have
a wand.
everything.
Snap
I
our
mean, there is
finger.
a tiny part of me that still holds on to that dream, but
I mean, hey, there's nothing
step
wrong with
back.
that. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
again, being purposeful and those dreams come true, right? And then
Yeah.
even then, and more some. So it's just I feel that we are so responsible for the lives that we live, and we can really
Yeah.
accomplish what we want, but we have to work at it. It's not easy. It's hard work, but
But
it's
it's hard
so
either way.
worth
And I
it.
think that's
Yes.
what people don't understand is you're uncomfortable when you're out of alignment. It's
Right.
hard work to get back in alignment. It's uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable either way.
Right.
When one choice keeps you stuck, one choice allows you the opportunity to grow. So if we're going to be uncomfortable, why not be elevating in the meantime?
That is so, I mean, you just literally hit the nail on the head. It's going to be hard either way. So
Yeah.
have it be hard and positive and again, and reach your goals and life
Have
goes
it be
by
your
so
choice
quick.
and not
Yes.
someone else's. Stop living
Yes.
other people's narratives for your life and
Yes.
live the life that feels right to you.
And I think too, let go of excuses. Like you see a lot of people are
Mhm.
so excuse driven and it's like, really? Like it's kind of just an excuse and you can kind of just kind of push those aside, and just it's so important. So I have some fun questions for you.
Okay.
It's been so amazing talking to you and just your expertise and just your compassion for women and support. It's just you are really somebody special,
Thank
and
you, Stacy. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
it's been a joy for me. Like I said earlier when we first
Likewise.
logged on, I'm oh my gosh, your voice is just so captivating, and it's like a sense of calm. Just your
Thank you.
mindset now, your voice and your mindset and all of it. You are just a beautiful person inside out. So
Thank you.
it's been so fun to and relaxing and just inspirational to have you on our podcast today. So I want to end it with some fun
Mhm.
questions,
Okay.
some rapid fire questions that we call it. And so they don't really make you think too much, but they're fun. So we ready?
I'm ready.
All right,
I'm
here we
nervous, but I'm
here we
ready.
go. Yes, yeah. We don't give you any
Okay.
kind of heads up on these. So these are fun. There's a few of them. There's about 7 of them. The first one is: are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning person.
I figured that. Yeah, when you said you're up
Definitely.
at 4:30, I'm like, there's no way she can be both. If she's up at 4:30, hopefully she's in bed by 9.
Uh-huh.
What is your favorite self-care ritual?
Oh, the one that's hardest for me to do is put lotion on my body.
Mm,
Um, but at the times when I stop and I take time for that, I'm reminded how important it is to be connected to my body and not let my head
yeah.
take me all over down the train tracks in other ways.
Yeah. So you're like, and that is a form of self-care, right? So
Yeah.
absolutely taking time to do that. That's awesome. The third one, other than your own, what one book that every woman should read?
Reviving Ophelia. Reviving Ophelia is a book that really dives deep into the mother-daughter connection and how
Oh,
influential our mothers have been on us without us knowing it. Why we think some of the things we think about ourselves, um, and how to really start to unpack that so that we can separate ourselves from our mothers and return to a place of compassion for them and what they did or didn't know, and then allow ourselves to reshape our own identity, in a way that we can still honor them and the gifts that they've given us, um, but leave the negative behind and just move
right.
forward from a stronger sense of self.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to order that one.
It's a good one.
That
It's good.
sounds like, yeah, sounds like a good one. Wow, thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. The next one, this is a little easier. Coffee, tea, or a green smoothie? What do you prefer?
I'm going to say coffee.
Okay.
Um, I'm going to say coffee just because it's part of my routine, my ritual. I do drink decaf, but I love the way it smells. And it's
Yeah.
just, I'll make it in the morning, a nice little latte, and I might drink half of it.
It's
I
like
don't
your
know.
routine. It's your feel good
It's
routine.
ritualistic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be my go-to as well, would be coffee.
Mhm.
So I'm right there with you on that one.
Yeah.
What's a quote or a mantra that you live by?
Um, well, the one lately has been do more, be more. I don't know if
Yeah,
I don't know who to attribute that to or what
yeah,
that is, but that's just the one that's kind of been bouncing around in my head for a while. I think it's because I'm coming out of a place of where I felt like I've been a little bit apathetic in some areas. And it's been hard for me to get motivated, in some areas. And so that's the phrase that just keeps running through my
it
head,
comes
do
to your
more, be
mind.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Definitely a motivating phrase for sure.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Well, thank you for that. We have two more to go.
Okay.
Your go-to way to recharge after a busy week?
Silence.
Oh, yeah, there's
Just
that's the best
quiet
sometimes.
house, just silence, just listening to nothing.
Yeah,
I can go all day with no music, no TV, and just feel such a sense of peace.
yeah,
It's like a cleansing for me. I'll go outside and listen to the birds, sit in the sun, water the plants, sit on the ground, just kind of, that's my way to reconnect, just using nature in that way, an
yeah.
environment.
I think we're so just compounded all the time by noise and the internet and as everything. So yeah, silence for sure is it's pretty
Hmm.
golden. I love
Yeah.
lighting a candle and just having the peace and the
Candles all
silence.
the time.
Ah,
Yes, I always
yeah,
have candles going in my house. Doesn't matter
yeah,
if it's winter, spring, summer, fall, doesn't matter.
yeah. It
Yeah.
does. It just brings that sense of calmness for sure. Yeah, love it,
Yeah.
love it. All right. So last but not least, this is a fun one. One word to describe how you feel when you're mentoring other women.
Inspired.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Because
Well, it's
I
because you're such an
just
inspirational person yourself.
Thank you. I love those sparks, of awareness and those moments where you're having in that dialogue with another woman and they spark and then you spark and then they spark and then you spark. And it's just this energy that goes back and forth. And there you are all of a sudden learning and growing together. And that's what it's all
Yeah.
about, is learning and growing
Oh, for
together.
sure. There's something to be said about that unity, right, of women, and just I feel like we're so powerful, and then we have so much to offer, especially when
You
working
do.
together and supporting one
Yeah.
another. Yeah, yeah, we're out
Yeah.
of that silo, and just yeah, that's great. Well, this has been so much fun, so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much, Alina. This is again, like I said, I don't know how you do it all. You're amazing. You are
Thank you.
definitely somebody to look up to and to learn more about. So we, something I'm definitely going to continue to do is follow your story and watch you to
Thank you.
continue to empower women around the world. That's definitely your gift.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure being here, and I've so enjoyed this conversation with you. I feel so ready to go take on something else. I don't know,
Well, I
but
love it.
you're very inspiring. This has been great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. So this has been fun. So thank you.